Welcome to Keep Your Thriving Alive. I'm Mark Mulligan, and this is the space where I share inspiration, tips and ideas to boost your mood, your energy and your well-being. Today I'm going to be exploring financial well-being. They say your health is your wealth, but your wealth, or at least how you think, feel and behave around money, can also affect your well-being. A recent study by Salary Finance in the UK found 40% of employees have money worries. Surprisingly, one of the groups with the highest percentage of money worries, 49%, are those who are earning more than £100,000 per annum. So stress and poor mental health caused by financial worries is not just a problem for low earners, it's a problem for everybody. And if you're one of those people who worry about money, you're much more likely to suffer from poor mental and physical health. Specifically, you're 9 times more likely to have sleepless nights, 5 times more likely to be depressed, and 4 times more likely to be prone to panic attacks. So it's not just about how much you have, it's about your attitude to money and how it helps or sabotages your well-being. And let's face it, if you add up the amount of time we spend working to earn the money and the amount of time we spend worrying about money, we spend almost all of our waking hours either earning or worrying about it. I'm a geek. I love money, I get a kick out of making it, and I enjoy spending it. But most of all, I love understanding how money can help me experience a deeper sense of well-being. Money is a flow of energy. It's really a simple exchange. You exchange your time, your energy, and your expertise for money, which you then use to provide for yourself and your family. In an ideal world, the amount coming in exceeds the amount going out. And you build up a nest egg to cover for short-term emergencies and more long-term for retirement. Sounds pretty straightforward, but for most people this simple equation doesn't equate to a sense of well-being. Indeed, for most of us it creates cause for worry, upset and stress. What if you could reduce your stress around money? In this video I'd like to share with you one simple thing you can do to change how you think and behave about money, so it can change how you feel and enrich your well-being. So let's start with thinking. What do you believe about money? When I was in my 20s, I went to a money mastery workshop. There were about 100 people in the room and it was an eclectic bunch. There were teenagers and there were people who were well into their retirement. There were millionaires and there were people who'd been on benefits their whole lives. The facilitator was a wise, wiry old man in his 60s, and he asked a very simple question that I will never forget. Imagine I've got a checkbook here and I can write you a check for any amount you choose. How much would you need so that you never needed to worry about money again? Can I ask you to reflect on this same question for a moment? Imagine that I could transfer any amount of money into your personal bank account now. How much would you need so that you would never need to worry about money again? How much would you need? I was really surprised by the answers in the room. One woman said £20 million and another man said 25. For almost everybody, they were thinking about tens of millions of pounds. The facilitator pondered on the answers and then asked a very profound question. Does that mean that if you've got less than this amount, you've basically sentenced yourself to worry about money for the rest of your life? There was a long silence in the room and the penny dropped. The quiet was broken by the guy who'd come up with the £25 million, who was keen to explain his rationale. I want to be able to provide for myself, my family and all of my loved ones for all eventualities, and I think that I might need all of that money in case everything goes wrong. Like what happens if I get sick and can't work, or if the same thing happens to my wife, my kids and my friends? I'd like to be able to look after all of them. Now, whilst that's a very worthy thing to want to do for one's loved ones, it does point to one very important thinking trap that a lot of people fall into when it comes to money. We catastrophize. Let me share with you an example. A friend of mine had a huge life shock about 3 years ago. One day, out of the blue, her husband walked out on her. She didn't see it coming and it hit her like a ton of bricks. I will never forget that first night, holding her hand in a restaurant as she shook like a leaf. She'd mapped out a future for herself, imagining worst case scenario where she was homeless on the streets with her dogs. So often when it comes to money, we map out the worst case scenario, we catastrophize, and then we feel paralyzed by fear and end up doing little or nothing to avert the disaster. Now, luckily this was not the case with my friend. She took action and now she's in the healthiest financial position of her life. For me, Dennis Waitley, author of The Psychology of Winning, sums up the mantra for a healthy money mindset. Expect the best and plan for the worst. In other words, don't waste your energy worrying, get mindful about money and take action, even if it's just one simple change. So, how might you change your behaviour to improve your financial well-being? Before we go into what you might do, I'd like to share with you some sobering statistics. 11 million people, or 22% of adults in the UK, have less than £100 in savings. The figures in the US are even worse, where 70% of people describe themselves as living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you ask somebody in this situation what the solution to this problem would be, for most people they would say, earn more. However, I know from my own personal experience that this was not the case. When I started working, I was very ambitious and I was keen to get on. Every year to 18 months I got promoted with a pay rise, and in my early 30s I realised that my salary had increased 8 times. And yet I was not saving any more money than I had been on day one. As my salary increased, I also edged up my spending. I bought more expensive clothes, went to smarter restaurants and had more exotic holidays. In his book The Latte Effect, David Bach says, everybody spends money every day, and as they do, they're building wealth. The only question is for whom? At that point, I realized I wasn't creating wealth for myself. I didn't have an income problem, I had a spending problem. So what to do about it? Here's a 3-step approach that can easily make the average person a millionaire. This is not a get-rich-quick strategy. In fact, it's very, very slow. But it is an easily achievable way to give you a greater sense of security and financial freedom. Step 1. Take a quick look at where you spend your money. Identify just one thing you spend money on that you feel you get a very little amount of benefit from. It could be that second coffee you have in the afternoon, or the gym membership that you pay for but never use. Did you know that 60% of people who sign up to gyms in January never go? It could be that direct debit you've forgotten to cancel, a health insurance policy that you don't need anymore because your new employer covers you. It doesn't matter what it is, you choose, but for the sake of argument, let's assume it's a latte. Step 2. Make the decision to stop this one thing and save the money. Step 3. Now this is the most critical step. Set up a savings account with an automatic transfer that goes out every month on the day that you get paid. So how does cutting out a latte a day make you a millionaire? Well, let's do the maths. Let's assume you're 18 years old and you decide to cut out that one latte a day. Where I live in London, that costs £3.20. Let's suppose that you save this daily amount until you've reached the retirement age of 65 and you invested in stocks and shares at the average rate of return over the last 100 years. That's 10%. On your retirement at 65, you've ended up with a savings nest egg of £1,018,466.63. So, 2 simple takeaways from today on how to think and behave about money to improve your financial well-being. Think. Don't worry, but be mindful about money and make the decision to take action. Behave. Cut out something that you're getting little benefit from. Make it automatic so you don't have to think about it anymore. Transfer the money to a savings account. Now, how will this affect how you'll feel? Well, imagine how you'd feel knowing that you have a simple plan of action which is effortless and which will give you financial peace of mind. I really hope it's been useful to reflect on your financial well-being and how you can easily change how you think, behave and feel about money so that you can enrich your life and thrive more of the time. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's the most useful thing about this video and what action are you going to take? Please leave your comments in the section below. I look forward to seeing you next month, and in the meantime, be well and thrive.